I'm your friendly neighborhood Web-Warrior Fanatic, and I just saw this hilarious poster on Reddit that made me laugh out loud. So this person here is asking, Hulk or Valkyrie, which kit is worse? And just in case you guys do not know, a little bit of a backstory. In Marvel Champions, the Hulk hero and the Valkyrie hero are known as two of the weakest heroes in Marvel Champions, and a lot of people dislike how their kits are designed. I'm actually much higher on both of these guys than a lot of other people. I think that Valkyrie has a fun kit, and Hulk, I think he's also very fun as well. I like both these heroes. I definitely agree though that they are definitely not the strongest heroes in the game. Definitely near the bottom. And I think it's an interesting discussion here to talk about which one is worse. You guys already can see my vote right here. Unfortunately, I don't know how to like redo the vote, but yeah, I voted for Valkyrie here, guys. I think that Valkyrie is worse than Hulk, but I'm not in the majority here. We have 500 votes so far, and 300 people voted for Hulk, and 170 people voted for Valkyrie as the worst hero. So it looks like about 30-ish% think Valkyrie is worse, and then about like 60 to 70% of people think that Hulk is the worser hero of the two. And I'm just gonna give my thoughts, and I'm gonna read some comments here and just give my own opinion on why I think that Hulk is actually more powerful than Valkyrie. So let's talk about the Hulk hero kit here first. So Hulk, he's notorious as being a very weak and poor hero in Marvel Champions. So the big reason for that is that in Alter Ego, he has a hand size here of just 5, which is like one of the few heroes in Marvel Champions that does not have a hand size of 6. That's terrible. It doesn't make any sense in my opinion because Bruce Banner, he's a genius. He's a smart guy. Why is his economy so bad? And then Hulk has a hand size of 4 in hero form, and one of the only negative hero abilities in the game. Enrage as a force interrupt, so you have to trigger it. Whenever your turn ends, you discard your hand, so you cannot hold on to cards in your hand. If you're playing as Hulk, you have to lose that entire hand. You cannot save stuff for next turn. So yeah, Hulk has probably the worst identity card. He does have the 18 hit points, but zero Thor kind of mitigates that. And then like we talked about his like really bad hand size and all that. However, his cards, they're not great, but they're not terrible, right? So a crushing blow here, it's a 1-cost event. You can do damage to enemy equals to your attack. So it's essentially, 3 damage here because you have, 3 base attack, for 1 cost. That's not bad at all. And then Hulk Smash is a 3-cost event. We make a base attack, you get plus 10 for the attack, right? So now you're swinging for 3 plus 10, which is 13 damage, which is a lot of damage, especially for 3 costs. So that's definitely worth the actual damage there. Like it's very efficient for, getting 10 additional damage for, 3 costs more. And then for suborbital leap, it's 3 costs to remove 3 threat, which is terrible, but 3 costs to remove 5 threat if you pair this card using only a physical resource. It's not the worst thing in the game. Like, it's definitely not great. It's worse than, some aspect cards, but not like the most terrible thing, especially considering that he has a 0 Thor here. So, this is definitely a card that I have played before. And then here we got a Thunderclap. So it's 3 costs, choose 3 different enemies and do 3 damage to each one of them. This is actually pretty on curve with a lot of AoE type of like events that do damage to all of them. So that's actually like, I don't think this card is a great card. Like a lot of heroes have cards like this. I don't think it's good, but it's not terrible from what we've seen compared to other cards that other heroes have. Unstoppable Force is actually not bad at all. It's a 2-cost ready here, and you can draw a card if you pair with this card using only physical. So this card's actually pretty decent. And then a limited stamina here, triple resource, very, very good. It does have the caveat that he only spends in hero form, but a very good card. Baron's Laboratory, also, not the worst. 2-cost support, you get +2 recovery, so you go up to a 6 recovery here as Bruce Banner. And then as alter ego resource, you can exhaust to generate a mental resource, but only in alter ego. Not terrible, getting only 2 costs here and you get +2 recovery. It's not bad because if Hulk can recover more with his 18 life, with 6 recovery, that's allowing him to get back into games a lot. Balanced Rage, 1 cost upgrade where you get +1 attack, but force response if you change down to alter ego, you have to discard this card. And then Indomitable Immovable Object. This card's pretty good. 3 cost upgrade, you get +4 hit points, and you gain Retaliate 1. That's definitely not a bad card. I like to play this card a lot whenever I'm playing as Hulk. So you guys seen Hulk's kit here as we went through, and actually his cards in general aren't terrible. It's really like the identity card that's absolute trash, right? I mean, he has the alter ego ability here, Experimental Research, to draw a card, and you discard a card from your hand, but you still end up with the 5 cards after you do that. It's not giving you a +1 like a net gain. It's keeping you like, still at even. So it's the identity card that's really bad. The 18 hit points is nice, but everything else is, pretty terrible. 3 attack is like obviously good, but like it's not worth the 0 thwart, right? It's much better to have, even 1 thwart and 2 attack than 0 thwart and 3 attack there. So yeah, that's kind of Hope's kit there, right? It's pretty general stuff. It's not like very specific type of things, right? You have stuff to do damage, you have stuff to remove threat, more damage, a ready here, economy, triple resource, a little bit of economy right here, and then some survivability right here. So it's a pretty like generic type of kit. There is a lot of an involvement with physical resources though, so you definitely want to use those physical resources to get the full effects of these cards. So let's take a look at Valkyrie here, and I'll explain why I think she's worse. So one thing that I thought is crazy for Valkyrie is that she has a hand size of 6 in alter ego and a hand size of 5 in hero form. So she's essentially like a normal hero, right? She has regular economy. So how could a hero that's like that be worse or weaker than a hero that has 5 hand size in alter ego and 4 in hero form, like Bruce Banner, Hulk, right? And it took me a while to get my mind really wrapped around that. But Villain Theory from a long time ago, I had discussions with him about this, and I don't know if he's joking. We talk about it a lot. I know that he also likes to make fun of D20 for like really liking Valkyrie, but Villain Theory will often talk about how Valkyrie is like the worst hero in the game, and like makes sly remarks, in a very fun, gesturing way about how Valkyrie is very weak. And I used to not really understand that because I would think about, she's a 6 hand size in alter ego, 5 hand size in hero form. If I just ignore her entire hero kit, and if I just play like, let's say, leadership and like allies, can I get her built out, right? I can play like maybe Quinn carrier because she's an Avenger, play Heli carrier, play Avengers Mansion, right? If I get all that economy built out, can I just ignore the rest of her kit and have her play like a very, functional, strong hero? Is that possible? And I actually try to do this. So I have a game, and this was actually when I decided to do that to test my, or like this hypothesis, this theory out. And I played her in a leadership recursion build, just like stacked on allies with like, Nick Fury, Maria Hill, all the strongest, most powerful allies of Marvel Champs in leadership, like make the calls, recurring them, all that stuff. And I played that with Valkyrie against Expert Magneto. Now, I think Magneto on Expert mode is one of the top 3 most difficult villains in the game. Not as strong as Venom Goblin or Ronan, so not like top tier, but definitely one of the strongest villains for sure. And I was not able to beat Magneto with that, and it's a tough game. I think that I was able to get fully built out, but even with that, Valkyrie, the way that her kit works, the way that the rest of her cards play, and you're gonna be getting these 15 identified cards as you're playing Valkyrie. It's tough for her to really do anything else. I think that Valkyrie shines the most whenever she's leaning into her kit. And as a matter of fact, I think that the way that Valkyrie plays, it's very streamlined. She has to lean into her kit. So let's talk a little bit about her kit and look at her cards here compared to Hulk, right? So Hulk's cards, as we've seen, this is just basic damage, right? Very generic damage, generic thwarting, generic AoE damage, right? Generic ready, right? Very simple cards that kind of like cover whatever you wanted to do, right? Valkyrie's cards, however, work a little bit different. So if you guys don't know how Valkyrie's kit works, she has a setup here. Set the Death Glow upgrade aside, out of play, and then you have your Death Glow upgrade right here. It's a 1-cost upgrade, so you don't need it in your hand, but you play it as if you're in your hand. And then it's attached to an enemy. And force interrupt whenever an attached enemy is defeated, you set the card back aside, out of play. And if Valkyrie defeats an enemy, you can ready her, right? So this can attach any enemy, including a minion, including the villain, right? And then in Alter Ego, you can trigger the action to detach your Death Glow upgrade and set it aside, out of play. And as your hero action here is Death Perception. Play the set aside Death Glow upgrade as if you're in your hand. So obviously this is like, a hero ability, but you can almost say it's not a hero ability, right? Because the Death Glow card itself could just say you can play this card, as if it were in your hand. Then that's kind of the same thing as the hero ability right here, right? So, Hulk does have the negative hero ability, but Valkyrie's hero ability is essentially just an extension of Death Glow right here. And if we look at her stats, I think it's better than Hulk's here, right? Because 1 thwart, 2 attack. Hulk is 0 thwart, 3 attack, but then defense is, the least important stat, but only 1 defense here while Hulk has 3. It doesn't really matter for either one of them because there are tanky heroes, because Valkyrie has 12 hit points, Hulk has 18. So, just looking at their styles there, I think I give the edge to Valkyrie, despite Hulk having 18 hit points and 3 attack, because Valkyrie at least has 1 thwart. So at worst, she's still pinging off 1 threat. However, her entire kit here revolves around this Death Glow upgrade right here. So if enemies ever have something where like you don't want to attach a death blow to them, or like it's not beneficial to do that, her kit is kind of dysfunctional. So let's look at the rest of her cards here. So Annabelle Riggs is her ally here, 2-cost ally, 1 throw, 1 attack, 2 hit points. Not a great ally because of alter action here. You know, you can exhaust her to search the top 5 cards of your deck for a Valkyrie card and add to your hand, shove the rest back into your deck. So she takes up an ally spot to basically get you a Valkyrie card, but like we said, most of her cards aren't that good. And Annabelle Riggs, I think that for other heroes could be decent if it's searching for like a hero card for them. But for Valkyrie, it's generally, she's not known as a very good ally. A lot of people think she's one of the worst allies. I don't think she's like bottom worst, but I do think that she's not very good. So let's take a look at her other cards here. So Valhalla, it's a 2-cost support. Response after Valkyrie attacks and defeats an enemy that has Deathglow right here attached to them, you can exhaust Valhalla to draw a card heal damage from Valkyrie. So this card, it's so slow. I like the card, but you not only do you need to pay 2 costs for it and it does nothing immediately, right? You pay the 2 costs and you still need Valkyrie to actually defeat an enemy that has Deathblow attached to it. Then you can draw a card and heal damage from Valkyrie. So this card really helps get Valkyrie going. But the way that works is that whenever you have it in play, it's not really giving you like a huge boost. It's giving you like a slow burn type of boost, right? That you definitely want. And throughout the course of the game, it's amazing, right? Throughout the course of a game, if you're drawing card heal damage, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times, that's very, very good. But, you know, it's slow tempo. And if you don't have this card in play, she feels so bad because you're paying 1 and you're defeating enemies that have death blow attached to it, but now you're not getting the card draw and the healing, right? And then she's often taking damage to the face because her economy is not great aside from this. So it feels more like a card where if you don't have it in play, her kit's not that good. And then if you do have it in play, I mean, you need at least 2 turns to like get the value back from actually playing the card. And then she has her spear here. This card I generally don't ever play. It's a 1-cost upgrade. She gets +1 defense, go up to 2 defense, and she can get +2 defense, go up to 3 if she's defend the enemy that has Deathglow attached. And guys, we rarely ever defend minion attacks, right? So we're usually taking attacks even from the villain to the face because we're a tanky hero with 12 hit points. So this card might be the worst card in her kit. It's not very useful. Dragon Fang, probably the best card in your kit. It's a 1-cost upgrade where you get +1 attack. For 1 cost, that's already very good. And if you're attacking an enemy that has Deathblow, she gets +2 attack. So this card, very, very solid card. None to scoff at for this card. Just getting +1 attack is, you know, great for 1 cost. But then 2 attack, whenever you're attacking the enemy with Deathblow, you know, very, very good. So I have nothing bad to say about this card. Probably her best card. Then we look at her other cards here. She's got Aragorn here, 2-cost upgrade. You get +4 hit points and gain aerial. Very good. Great to get the extra life and aerial there. Fly the Valkyrie, 2-cost upgrade. So this is her like thwarting you know, card. It's not an event, it's an upgrade. So you play it, and then after the enemy with Deathblow is defeated, then you can discard this card to remove 5 threat from a scheme. So very, you know, cost efficient, right? 2 for 5 threat removal is good, but it's tied into putting Deathglow to an enemy and also defeating the enemy. So she got 2 copies of this. This is Valhalla, 0-cost event. Alter action, return a Valkyrie card from discard power to your hand. So, you know, more synergy with Valkyrie cards like Annabelle Riggs right here. And she also got Chooser of Slain. This card's also very, very good. I think it's also like as good as Dragon Fang. 0-cost event, search the encounter deck and discard power for a minion, put it in play, engage with you, and then draw 2 cards. So it's essentially like Thor's hero ability here, right? You can tutor a minion and you can draw 2 cards. So drawing 2 cards, I think is worth getting a minion because Valkyrie can easily defeat minions. And she gets the value back if you have Dragon Fang. Or not Dragon Fang, if you have Valhalla in play, because then she can defeat that minion and then draw a card back and heal with damage, you know, kind of like the cost for defeating minion, and then you have more card draw here from Chooser of Slain. So, you know, definitely not a bad card. Shoe Maiden, it's not the best. It's here to draw when enemy with Deathblow attacks, then you can declare Valkyrie as defender without exhausting her. She gets +2 for attack. So that's if you give Deathblow to a to enemy, and the enemy attacks you, then you can defend without exhausting. So, you know, not terrible, but you generally want this on the villain, but you want Deathglow on the minions, right? Because if Deathglow is set to the villain, you usually only defeat them, you know, once in a game when you flip into their next stage. So you probably want to put Deathglow on a minion, and then this means that you're keeping the minion alive, and you're wasting a resource to pay for this card to like defend that minion's attack, which, you know, isn't like the most effective thing. And she's got 3 copies of Habati. 3-cost attack event to do 7 damage. If it defeats, if the enemy has Deathblow, I mean, then attack also gains overkill. So this card is, you know, not terrible. You want this like her essential like damage card, her main damage card. But you know, it's 3 for 7 no matter like how you put it, right? The overkill is not bad, but at the end of the day, it's gonna be 3 for 7. So the way that Valkyrie's kit works and the way that she shines the most is whenever she has a bunch of minions, she's very reliant on minions because her kit is reliant on minions because you want to put death blow to minions. But unlike other minion slayers, it's not just having minions in play to like trigger different effects. It's you need to have minions in play. You need to actually pay something like 1 cost to play death blow to attach it to the minion, and you also need to defeat the minion to get the ability, right? So other minion slayers like Thor, it's whenever you engage a minion, you can just draw 2 cards. You don't need to actually defeat them. For a Tiger, whenever you have minions to play, she's drawing cards for each minion at the end of the round, so that's nice. Bucky, each time he defeats a minion, you can remove 2 from a scheme. So they all have like kind of like, I think Thor is the most immediate one, right? He can just draw the 2 cards when you engage the minion. But the other ones, they have effects for just having the minion in front of you. Versus for Valkyrie, not only does she need the minion in front of you, but you have to also do this thing and attach death blow to that minion. So I think that the way that her kit works, it's kind of slower than all the other ones. And like I said before, I did testing with Valkyrie. If you don't lean into her kit, she's dysfunctional. So you must lean into her kit, which means you must have minions and you must actually play her cards. And I think that for me, that's the reason why she is weaker than a hero like Hulk. Because Hulk is not streamlined in that way, where if you build Hulk out and you give him like Quinn Carrier, Heli Carrier, Ingenuity, Mansion, all that stuff that he can play for economy, then he can play like any other hero. He can afford all of his cards, he can play all the stuff. It's hard to get him there, but once he is there, he is, very viable. Valkyrie, once she's there, she's still limited to playing her cards. So her ceiling is very low, even though her floor is a little bit higher than Hulk's. So it's easy to get her built out, but whenever she is built out, you're put in a hole because it's a slow build out. So can you come out of that hole? And most of the time you can't. I think that's a problem. For Hulk, you're also put into a huge hole, to get him built out. But once you are built out, you're very powerful now, and you can easily mitigate everything and burst out of that hole and do a bunch of damage with your Hulk smash and do a bunch of Thor with suborbital leaps. And I definitely Thor a lot with Hulk late game with suborbital leaps and with allies and stuff like that because he's able to rely and play a bunch of cards with like a bunch of economy. For Valkyrie here, if you want to do third move, you still need to play this. You still need to set death blow attached to enemy, and you need to actually defeat that minion in order to do all of that. And like if you don't have a minion in play, then you won't be able to do that, right? I do want to say though, I think that Valkyrie is stronger in multiplayer, but I think that in true solo, I mean, I have played. There's so many players with Hulk, on my channel because I love playing Hulk. So you guys have seen I played true solo games with Hulk against expert Magneto, playing a generic leadership build. I played games against expert Venom Goblin as well, and Hulk was able to take Venom Goblin down too. Valkyrie, I think that it's possible for her to take down Magneto and Venom Goblin, but she has to play leaning into her cards. And a lot of people can say, oh, if you want to play a hero and you want to play only their cards, then Valkyrie's stronger. Well, I'm not going to disagree with that. I think that if you're leaning only into the cards, I think that Valkyrie is generally stronger. However, Hulk is very good at rushing if you lean into his cards. Like we talk about with the Hulk smashes here, when you make a basic attack, you get plus 10 for the attack. Like this is really good damage. This is also very good and cheap damage, and Hulk can definitely afford these cards. So if you are ignoring everything else and you're just rushing down villains with Hulk, he can actually defeat villains more easily than Valkyrie, and Valkyrie cannot rush, right? She needs minions, and she needs to defeat minions and ready up, and then she can do damage to a villain. So she can play at a high tempo, but unfortunately, because of how her kit's so streamlined, she can't even rush as fast as Hulk. So Hulk is actually faster if you're only focusing on doing damage to villain and ignoring everything else. However, because of that, like if you're facing villains like Venom Goblin, who is very difficult if like near impossible to rush down, I think that Valkyrie will have a better chance if you're only leaning into her cards because Hulk can't rush her down. Can't rush Venom Goblin down, I mean. Same with Magneto, because Magneto's got a bunch of side scenes that you have to clear off first before you can gun him down. So if you're leaning into just the hero cards, I think that Valkyrie has a better shot than Hulk against, Magneto and Venom Goblin because they can't be rushed down. However, against Expert Ronin, and there's content creators that have posted playthroughs with Hulk versus Expert Ronin, and they defeated Ronin with rushing him down. Hulk is definitely a better rush hero than Valkyrie for Expert Ronin. So if you're facing Expert Ronin, I think that Hulk has a better shot if you're playing just his hero cards compared to Valkyrie. However, if you don't have that caveat of like, okay, I'm considering which hero is stronger, but I can actually deck build with them, and I can build, however way that I want. Well, if you actually build a kit not leaning into Valkyrie's hero cards and a deck not leaning into Hulk's hero cards, I think that once again we're going back to Hulk here. Hulk has a better shot against Ronin, Magneto, and Venom Goblin, and literally almost every single villain in the game, other than very heavy minion type of villains, like maybe like Ultron, for example, like villains that have a bunch of minions like Zola and Ultron. I think that Valkyrie would probably always have the better win rate against. Because yeah, but I don't even know about Ultron because Valkyrie works very well against mid-range minions because she has such high attack. But against Ultron drones, she's wasting a lot of her damage. And especially if you attach a death blow to the drones, it's not going to be the most effective thing. I have played this with Valkyrie, against Ultron, and it's definitely a grind. It's definitely a grind. I mean, I think it's debatable if you want to say Valkyrie or Hulk is stronger against Ultron, because Valkyrie has the advantage of like minion slaying stuff. But I mean, yeah, she really wants very mid-range minions where her attack of like 1 2 plus 2 more here, so 4 attack can like get the full effect out of, right? Because if you're hitting like Ultron drone that only has 1 hit point, then like arguably there's other things that other heroes can do to match up to Valkyrie. So yeah, that's my take on Hulk and Valkyrie, and all of that is on the channel, guys. So you guys want to see like playthroughs of Hulk defeating expert Magneto, expert Venom Goblin, expert Ronin, that's all on the channel. And if you want to see videos of or playthroughs of Valkyrie losing to expert Magneto because I'm like ignoring her kit, that's on our channel. If you want to see her winning against like expert Ultron because I am leaning more into her kit, that's also on the channel as well. So that's kind of how their kit works, in my opinion. And just like in my personal experience playing these heroes, I've also played them both, in two-handed games on a channel and in multiplayer games as well. I think that Valkyrie is generally better in multiplayer just because there's going to be more minions out and she can really lean into doing her thing and have other heroes focus on authority for her. For Hulk, he can do authority himself once he's built out if you're playing a more generic build, not leaning into his hero cards. So that's kind of how I'll evaluate the two heroes, and that's kind of like the nuance of what I would say which hero is stronger or weaker. But for me personally, for my criteria when I'm looking at a hero, I think that I want to evaluate them in terms of like the actual card pool and how I'm deck building with them. And because of that, I think that Hulk is going to be the strong hero, especially in true solo. So I voted for Hulk here, or for Valkyrie as the weaker hero. But yeah, let me know down in the comments, guys, what are your thoughts? Let's look at some comments here from Redditors and see what they say here. So top comment here says, if you're encouraged and forced to actually play the cards in their kit, then Valkyrie. Okay, let me see here. What's the question? Which kit is worse? So, okay, that's interesting. So this person disagrees with me. If you're forced to actually play the cards in your kit, then Valkyrie is worse. I think that, I mean, Hulk Rush, I think is very good, but if you're not rushing with Hulk, I think that Valkyrie's better. Let's see. Number 1 out of 3 of the kit really works well with another at a given point. Her effective cards play resource expenditure drop to Hulk level. Guys, I cannot read this sentence right here. Okay. Number 1/3 of the kit really works well with another at a given point. Her effective cards play / resource expenditure drops to Hulk levels or worse. And Hulk just accidentally finds lethal sometimes with his cards if he plays suits out. Yeah, so I think that the way they're saying this is that with Hulk Rush, he has a higher ceiling than Valkyrie playing her cards, and I definitely agree with that. If you don't actually have to play the identity cards, then Valkyrie is stronger, just purely on the hand side. So yeah, we talked about how Valkyrie has the better hand sets here, but I think when they're fully built out, Hulk can still do some more things than Valkyrie. If you told me I have to beat Ronin with one of these two characters, then I'm taking a 50-card Valkyrie leadership deck every single time. That's interesting. I would take a 40-card like aggression Hulk deck to just try to gun down Ronin. There are plenty of players on YouTube of people defeating expert Ronin with a Hulk rush build. So this person here agrees with that. Let's see another comment here. Valkyrie is so bad. Her kit just isn't fun. I wish deck build was 0 cost. That would make her wearing fun. At least Hulk smashes. So I think this person's saying that that Hulk is stronger than Valkyrie. And I don't know. Like, I think... So I actually was saying this for a very long time, that I wish deck build was 0 cost. And then you guys commented, in videos where I said that. And it said that Valkyrie would be too powerful if deck build is 0 cost. And I agree. Yeah, if deck build is 0 cost, she plays it for free. She gets free readies, essentially, right? Like a minion is deleted for free. So let's say there's a minion engaged with you and the minion has like, let's say 3 hit points. Well, if you have a giant fan attached, she has 3 attack. You just play deck build for free. You attach to a minion. And then Valkyrie can just swing for 3, +1 with a +2 attack. So 4. She kills the minion, and then she gets to ready up because she defeated the minion for free. So if you have any other effects that work off of like Valhalla, like you have this in play or this in play, then she's getting even more value from defeating the minion. That you get rid of for free, right? Because she's ready up, you defeat the minion, and you ready back up. So yeah, if this is free, she's just too good. Like if you could somehow make this 0.5 cost, I think that would be perfect. But free, she's too powerful. 1 cost, she's like, pretty clunky, unfortunately. This person says here, when I play Valkyrie and it worked, I only use a few of her cards. When I play Hulk and it kind of works, I barely use his cards. Yeah, that is a good point here. I think that if you're focusing on just the cards, I think that Valkyrie is better. I think if you're playing standard, I think that Valkyrie can definitely use her cards and defeat most villains on standard. Pretty reliably playing mostly her cards. And they're saying it's close-ish, but I feel like Hulk is worse. Yeah, I can definitely see that side too. Deckbuild the boss, get your weapons. You're 1, 4, 3. Okay, all game with 5 hand size. Hulk has 4 and can't hold any. Yeah, that's true. But if you deckload the boss, and you're just playing with the sound with the 1, 4, 3, I mean, unfortunately, Valhalla will never proc. Well, it'll proc 1 time in the whole entire game. This will also proc 1 time in the entire game, and you'll never get the ready from Deathflow, so I don't know if that's the most valuable way to play, because some of her cards just, like, don't work, and even when we look at, like, her, Habadi right here, it's 3, for 7 damage. That's not as good as 3 for, plus 10 damage on a basic attack, so, I think that Hulk's cards kind of work more generically. That's my thoughts on that. And then there's nothing wrong with the Hulk cards that a cost decrease when it fixed, true. And a 5 to 4 hand size doesn't help either. Reduce the cost of his cards by an average of 1, and it's a decent kit. Valkyrie's kit relies on death blow too much. Fly the Valkyrie needs a minion with it. Human is useless if the attacker doesn't have death blow. Yeah, I think that this kind of sums up my thoughts exactly here. So it's just the reliance on death blow being more streamlined. And because Hulk's kits are Hulk's cards, are just overcosted. That's kind of like his problem. It's just overcosted cards. So once you get the economy out, everything's mitigated there. Valkyrie, even if you get her cards like cheaper, it's still reliant on this. So obviously she'll be better if her cards are cheaper, but if you still get unlucky and you don't get the minions at the right time and you don't get the minion tutoring cards, like it can still be a pain in the butt and difficult to play her. The reply here says, I think she's closer to good than people think. She needs to be able to move Deathglow without flipping down, and her kit feels like, yeah, I agree with this thing. That if she can move Deathglow freely, that would be very nice without flipping down. And her kit feels like 2 half decks that don't work together and set up 1 full deck. Fix those 2 things, I think she'd be decently strong. Yeah, if she does not have to flip down. So basically, one thing with Valkyrie is that if you attach Deathglow to the villain, you can never unattach it unless you flip down to Alter Ego to trigger the action here to detach Deathflow and set aside out of play. Because the hero action here says play the set aside Deathflow. So if it's not set aside, you can't play it anymore. So yeah, she's kind of reliant on Alter Ego if you get Deathflow on an enemy that you don't want. Which also makes her better in multiplayer, because in multiplayer you can flip down to Alter Ego and detach Deathflow if you want to. Right, so being able to have the flexibility to attach to the villain and minions is going to help Valkyrie a lot. For sure. So yeah, definitely an interesting discussion here and a very funny topic to think about for which kit is worse. I think Hawkeye is worse than both of them, but yeah, let me know, guys, down in the comments. What do you think? Do you think that Hulk is the weaker hero or Valkyrie is the weaker hero? And depending on which one you think, let me know what your criteria is, right? Do you think that what makes a hero strong or weak? Are you saying that because of their hero cards, like you have to play those cards? Or are you incorporating the entire card pool and saying, like, if I build a deck with this hero, compared to me building a deck with this hero, not relying on their hero cards, is that a part of the factor here? What, makes their kit worse? Well, I guess here they're saying which kit is worse. But then, like, here, when I'm looking at the word kit, I'm also thinking about, like, how their kit interacts with aspect cards, right? Because once Hulk is built out, I am playing all Hulk cards every single turn, right? For the last, few rounds of the game, I'm playing a bunch of Hulk smashes, crushing blows, unstoppable forces to, finish the villain off. I still need these cards to actually finish the villain off. I cannot actually defeat the villain if I don't have these Hulk cards here. So Hulk has a good way of actually cleaning up scenarios and finishing everything up there. So yeah, guys, just a fun video here talking about which kit is worse. Let me know down in the comments which one you guys think. I hope you guys all like this video, and I'll see you guys all in the next one.